All right, let's dive into a really fascinating idea today. What if our most stubborn mental patterns, the ones that feel purely in our heads, actually have a hidden physical component, an invisible armor that's keeping us stuck? You know that feeling, right? You're caught in this loop of worry or maybe frustration, and you can tell yourself this is totally irrational. You can try to think your way out of it, but it just feels like there's a track playing in your head that you just can't stop. It's so frustrating. But what if the problem isn't just in your head? So, to really get this, we've got to rewind a bit to a pretty radical idea from the early 20th century. There was this psychoanalyst, Wilhelm Reich. He was actually a student of Freud, and he proposed something that was way, way ahead of its time. He said that our mental defenses, our psychological rigidity, they aren't just abstract concepts. They are physically held in our bodies. Now, full disclosure, some of Reich's later work got pretty controversial, but his early insights on this mind-body connection have been incredibly influential. And that's what we're digging into today. And the name he gave this? Character armor. It's the idea that all those chronic, involuntary muscle tensions we carry around are a direct mirror of our psychological defenses. We are, quite literally, armoring our bodies against difficult emotions, and in doing so, we end up creating a kind of physical prison for our own mind. Reich really hit the nail on the head with this one. His big insight was this direct link. Think about it. A cynical attitude isn't just a thought, right? It might be held physically as a slight sneer, a tension around the mouth. An attitude of pride might look like a rigid, puffed-up chest. The mind and body aren't just connected, they're expressing the exact same pattern at the exact same time. And he was systematic about it. He actually mapped this armor across the entire body in 7 distinct segments, all the way from our eyes down to our pelvis. He linked things like a fixed, detached gaze, what he called the ocular armor, to intellectualizing and avoiding our feelings. Or a tight, clenched jaw in the oral segment, he tied that to suppressing our needs. It's like a full-body map of our personality, etched right into our muscles. So the big idea to grab onto here is this. Our personality isn't just in our heads. It's literally shaped into our bodies as a pattern of chronic tension. And this, right here, this brings us to the absolute key to the whole thing, and maybe the real reason you feel stuck sometimes. It's the difference between the content of your thoughts, the story you're telling yourself, and the physical structure that holds that story in place. Let's break this down with a simple example. So the content of your worry might be a deadline, or a financial problem, or a relationship issue. That story can change every single day, but the structure, the looping thoughts, the clenched jaw, the shallow breathing, that physical pattern often stays exactly the same no matter what you're actually worried about. And here's the kicker, the physical structure is what maintains the mental content. As long as your body is locked in that pattern of tension, your mind is just going to keep generating worried thoughts to match it. You can't solve a structural problem with a content-based solution. It's kind of like trying to fix a glitchy computer program by just typing different words into it. It doesn't work. Okay, so you're probably thinking, if this tension is the problem, why is it so hard to just relax, right? Why does telling yourself to let go seem to make things even worse sometimes? Well, this leads us to the great paradox of control. Well, it's because you're fighting against millions of years of programming. Our nervous system has learned on a very deep, primal level that control equals predictability, and predictability equals survival. So to your body's ancient wisdom, letting go of control feels like letting go of the steering wheel on a highway. It literally equates release with danger and uncertainty. And this is where we get caught in this crazy loop. First, we decide, okay, I'm going to relax. Then, what do we do immediately? We start monitoring ourselves. Am I relaxed yet? How about now? But that very act of checking is a form of control, which just creates a new layer of tension. The armor doesn't disappear, it just changes shape. You're now controlling your non-control. It's a trap. And this is a really, really important distinction to make. True release isn't the same as collapse or apathy. When we truly release, energy and vitality actually return. We feel more available to life. But when we just withdraw control without restoring that vitality, we collapse. We feel numb, absent, apathetic. It's control's quiet cousin, not true freedom. So, I get it. You might be thinking, okay, this is an interesting idea from the 1930s, but is it for real? Well, it turns out modern science is catching up in a big way, and it's providing a whole new layer of proof for these old ideas. It turns out Reich was way, way ahead of the curve. Modern science now backs up his theories from all these different angles. Neuroplasticity shows our brains literally rewire themselves based on where we put our focused, embodied attention. Research into fascia shows our connective tissue is this huge sensory network, constantly talking to our nervous system. Embodied cognition confirms that thinking isn't just in the brain, it's a whole body process. And polyvagal theory explains chronic tension as a sign of a nervous system that's just stuck in a threat response. The evidence is overwhelming. The mind and body are one integrated system. And this explains something we've all experienced, right? Why a good massage feels amazing, but an hour later, that knot in your shoulder is already creeping back. The massage is addressing the hardware, the tight muscles, but it isn't updating the software, the nervous system's default pattern that's yelling, this area needs to be tight for safety. So the real takeaway from the science is that lasting change isn't about manipulating the muscles. It's about helping the nervous system learn a new, safer pattern. All right, enough theory. We've covered the idea, we've covered the science. How do we actually put this into practice? How do we move from just knowing about this armor to actually helping it dissolve? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple. It all boils down to this one simple, powerful phrase. Notice what is held. Not fix what is held, not relax what is held, just notice. This instruction is so powerful because it shifts you out of that mode of control and into a mode of simple awareness. And the beauty of this is its simplicity. You don't need a yoga mat or a quiet room. You can integrate it right into your day. The trigger can be any natural pause, waiting for your coffee, stopping at a red light. You just silently scan your body and ask, where am I bracing right now? Then you just feel it, with no agenda to fix it. And then you just go back to your task. That's it. But here's the secret ingredient, the real game changer. It isn't just what you do, but how you do it. If this becomes just another chore on your to-do list, you're just reinforcing that pattern of control. But if you can reframe it as a kind of playful, curious exploration, everything changes. Because curiosity, at a nervous system level, is the direct opposite of a threat response. It's a signal of safety that allows the armor to soften all on its own. And that leaves us with a final thought to take with you. The armor we all carry, it was built for protection, a strategy that probably served us well in the past. But what could happen if, instead of fighting it or trying to force it away, you just started to meet it with a little bit of gentle, playful curiosity? What might begin to dissolve all on its own?